Let's dive straight in. Section 7. Just staying alive was an achievement. Hey there, Middle Ages. Alright y'all, let's get one thing straight from the jump. If you're currently living with Wi-Fi, Spotify, and a heated apartment, you better say thank you, universe, every morning for not being born in the Middle Ages, because back then, making it to the end of the week was basically winning the Hunger Games. The Middle Ages were like real life on insane mode. Nothing was easy. Doctors? Nope. Back then, a doctor was some dude who showed up with either a saw or some leeches. Got a headache? Go pray. Broke your leg? Quick, get him to church. Maybe Jesus will fix it. Food? If you think their version of fast food was burgers and fries, let me crush that dream real quick. It was more like dirt soup with a couple half-chewed bones thrown in. Meat? That was luxury stuff, reserved for lords and knights. Everyone else got moldy bread and sad beans that had been boiled 3 times just to be chewable. And if you had a bad tooth, they yanked it. No questions asked. BBC? Nah bro, they had Granny McBoilwater, your local healer with rusty knives and some serious guesswork. Now let's talk technology. Spoiler, there wasn't any. No internet. No phones, not even electricity. People's main source of entertainment was going to the market to watch someone get punched, or sitting by the village while gossiping about who's probably a witch. Their whole social calendar revolved around church, trading, and maybe, if they were lucky, an annual witch burning. Yeah, if some poor woman knew how to make herbal tea, they'd go, she's totally dating Satan, and boom, bonfire party. Oh, we haven't even hit the wars yet. Anytime a king got bored, he'd start a new war. One day, they were fighting the French, next day the Vikings, and sometimes just beefing with the neighbors for fun. And don't imagine epic movie battles. Nah, this was sword on sword, in knee-deep mud, wearing armor that looked like recycled tomato cans. Most people didn't even die in battle. They died after, from infected wounds and tetanus. Clean water? LOL. They drank from the same river they did laundry in, and bathed the cows, and tossed dead bodies into. Baths? If you bathed once a year, congrats, you were basically royalty. Deodorant? Bro, that was probably the name of a local wizard, not a hygiene product. Bottom line? If you were born in the Middle Ages, by age 32 you'd probably be considered a grandpa. Most people didn't even hit 40. So next time your phone lags mid-game, or your McDonald's delivery is running late, close your eyes and imagine standing in a muddy village, with a rusty sword, a swollen knee, and a loaf of moldy bread in your hand, waiting your turn at the town well. Then open your eyes, take a sip of your oat milk latte, and say, yeah, life's not that bad. Section 6. If you didn't have a heater, you died. Frozen! Little Ice Age. Alright, let me tell you about a time when Earth basically got mad at warmth and said, you know what? Let's just freeze everyone. Welcome to the Little Ice Age. Little? Yeah, only compared to the Big Ice Age. But for the folks living back then? Oh, it was very much not little. It was freaking brutal. So here's what went down. From around the 14th to 19th century, the weather just gave up. Like, nah, I'm done being warm. Temperatures dropped like your Wi-Fi signal during a Zoom meeting. Now imagine that happening and nobody has heating. No double-pane windows. And winter coats? Look more like oversized potato sacks. What does cold weather mess up first? Farming. The ground froze. Rain got weird. Snow showed up in summer. Farmers were like, did we glitch into the wrong level of this game, or what? Crops failed. Famine hit. Bread prices shot up. And people got hungry. One of the worst famines in history happened during this stretch. So hey, if you skip dinner and your stomach growls, just remember, back then people fell asleep to that sound. The only difference? They didn't always wake up. And oh, you want to hear something wild? The River Thames in London? It used to freeze. Like solid enough that people held freaking winter fairs on it. Skating, booze, shows, on ice. It was like someone said, winter sucks. Let's party on top of it. But just so we're clear, those festivals? Rich people stuff. Regular folks? They were huddled in freezing houses around tiny sad fires, shaking like a wet chihuahua, and wondering if tomorrow's dinner would be bark or shoelace stew. Now fast forward to today. If your heater dies for 1 hour, you're wrapped in 3 blankets, texting your landlord, and posting a dramatic IG story like, OMG tonight is hell. But back then, you slept next to moldy bread and a coal fire that barely glowed. And if you woke up and your cousin was frozen solid next to you, well, that was just Tuesday. Wanna really freeze your brain? Here's the kicker. Because of the cold and the hunger, people's immune systems were trash. So of course diseases came in like, let's finish the job. That's right. Famine plus freezing plus infection equals a full-blown deluxe hell pack. So yeah, next time you're sipping hot coffee with the heater on, binging Netflix and stressing about what show to pick, just remember, if you were living during the Little Ice Age, you'd probably be out back in a wooden shack, looking for a stick to burn, or you know, maybe yourself, because hope was melting faster than the non-existent sun. Section 5. The Mongols are coming. This ain't a party, it's a massacre. If you think the apocalypse is just when your Wi-Fi goes out or your food delivery is late, oh buddy, you've clearly never met the Mongol army. Let me be real with you. If you were living in the 13th century and one morning you saw a huge dust cloud on the horizon that wasn't a sandstorm, that was Mongol horsepower rolling in like, hey, y'all got any cities left to burn? And you? Yeah, time to write your will. The Mongols showed up under this super chill, very reasonable guy called Genghis Khan. And by chill, I mean he'd be like, surrender your city in 24 24 hours or we're leveling it and everyone in it. And then he'd actually do it. No bluffing. No second chances. Just vibes. Murderous vibes. They weren't your average let's take over and chill invaders. These guys were like mobile death tornadoes. Nomadic, elite horsemen, meat-dried on-the-go warriors with insane aim and zero patience. Half of them would snipe you with arrows from miles away. The other half would be up in your face with a sword before you finished blinking. Rules of war. The Mongols didn't get that memo. For them, there were two types of cities, already conquered and about to be. Now imagine this. You're baking bread, your kid's napping, life semi-okay. When your neighbor sprints and screaming, you see that black flag? Mongols. They're here. And boom, you're a background character in the world's most terrifying open-world game. What made the Mongols extra scary was that they didn't just fight. They scared people into giving up before the fight even started. They'd annihilate one city, stack up the corpses outside the next one like a hello, we're serious calling card. And honestly, it worked. Most cities surrendered like, nah, we good, come on in. And even when someone did swear loyalty to them, if the Mongols even sniffed a hint of betrayal, that was it. Total wipeout. These guys were like an early version of GTA, just riding around causing total chaos, but without a police star rating to stop them. And this was just the military part. After the Mongols rolled through, entire cities vanished, civilizations collapsed, populations got sliced in half. And if you're thinking, okay, but surely things got better afterward, lol, no, it was more like, okay, when's the next attack coming? So yeah, if you're ever thinking, when would be a cool time to be born, just make sure your mom isn't named Lady Khan and your hometown isn't anywhere on a Mongol marching route. Cause if it is, your birth certificate might as well say, expires in 9 months. Section 4. The Black Plague, a festival of death and funky smells. Alright folks, let's hop over to the 14th century, when Europe got hit with the worst party crasher in history, the Black Plague. And when I say deadly, I don't mean like, this milk smells weird, deadly. I mean like, hey, half the neighborhood's gone and the other half's coughing blood. Kind of deadly. Imagine throwing a party, but instead of chips and dip, you've got corpses, pus, and a stench so foul even Instagram filters couldn't clean it up. Yeah, that's what we're dealing with here. The plague rolled in from Asia via trading ships. Basically, medieval Amazon Prime, but your package came with a sneaky, plague-ridden rat offering free same-day delivery of death. So what happened if you caught it? First, a headache, then a fever, then these nasty, golf ball-sized bumps full of blood and gunk. And your treatment options? Oh wait, you had none. You either died or died. Not a lot of middle ground there. You'd walk down the street, and half the people you saw were either in the middle of dying or being wheelbarrowed away to a mass grave. People literally yelled out their windows, bring out your dead. And don't picture organized funerals with flowers and crying grandmas. No, most towns just dug a massive pit, tossed the bodies in like garbage bags, slapped some dirt over it, and called it a day. And the vibes in the city? Oh man, people walking around with beak-shaped plague masks filled with herbs to block out the death smell. Yeah, those creepy bird masks you see at weird music festivals? That was legit plagueware back in the day. Some folks thought God was angry, so they marched around whipping themselves in the streets like, maybe this'll help. Others blamed cats and started mass killing them, which, fun fact, led to way more rats, which meant way more plague. Great job, medieval brain trust. And let's talk about smell. Personal hygiene back then? Practically non-existent. No deodorant, barely any soap. The air was a mix of rot, sweat, and hopelessness. If your roommate today skips 2 showers, you call them out. Back then, that smell would have been considered fresh. The plague wiped out around a third of Europe. A third. If you were in a class with 30 people, by the end of it, maybe 10 would still be breathing. And if you wanted to survive, you had 2 options. Quarantine yourself without Netflix, Wi-Fi, or Uber Eats, or go live in the mountains with some sheep and pray the death breeze didn't blow your way. So next time your throat feels a little scratchy, and you instantly book a doctor's appointment or take a COVID test. Just remember, people used to die because a rat sneezed on a Venetian merchant 3 cities away. Section 3. Year 536 AD, when Earth got depressed AF. Alright crew, buckle up, we're going back to a very special year in history. A year that, if calendars had captions, would have read, do not be born this year. Welcome to 536 AD, a year where Earth straight up said, I'm not okay. I'm going offline. The weather? Total garbage. The sun? Took a vacation and forgot to come back. People? Confused, starving, miserable. Basically, Mother Nature threw a tantrum and everyone paid the price. So how did it start? Volcano. But not a pretty, postcard volcano you'd use as a laptop background. No, this one blew half the planet into the sky with ash. The dust reached the upper atmosphere and blocked sunlight like the worst Instagram filter ever. The sun still rose, technically, but for about 18 months, the sky looked like eternal twilight. Days were gray, nights were pitch black, and everyone walked around like they were stuck in a moody indie film. And don't think it was just gloomy outside. That darkness dropped global temperatures. Earth basically entered low power mode. Crops failed. Famine kicked in. People ate tree bark, leaves, even each other when things got really bleak. And hold on, don't don't breathe yet, cause we're not done. Just a few years later, around 541 AD, the plague of Justinian showed up like, I heard it's already terrible here. Mind if I ruin it more? And remember, back then people had no clue what was going on. If that happened now, you'd Google why is the sky dark and get 12 NASA articles, a Vox explainer, and some TikTok astrologer saying it's Mercury's fault. But in 536, people thought the apocalypse was here. Some blamed God. Others thought demons stole the sun. A few just ran off to the mountains hoping they'd be the last man standing. Spoiler, they weren't. Bottom line, if you were born in 536, you were lucky if all you got was a major depressive episode, because odds were you were also cold, starving, infected, and surrounded by people who were also cold, starving, and infected. Today, if the sun hides behind a cloud and it starts to drizzle, people wrap themselves in blankets like, ugh, I'm so seasonal depression right now. But back in 536, the sun actually goes to the entire planet. The sky, always sad. The future, non-existent. Hope, absolutely dead. So next time your life feels a little off track, just remind yourself, you could have been born in 536 AD. No sunlight, no Netflix, no dinner, just pure Earth said no. Section 2. The 20th century. 2 world wars and 0 good vibes. Alright kids, let's get one thing clear. If someone was born in the year 1900, they should have come with a psychological helmet. Because the 20th century? That was a runaway terror train with no brakes. War. Yeah. Famine? Economic collapse? Oh boy, in bulk. Throw in a deadly flu, nuclear bombs, the Berlin Wall, and even disco music, and you've got a century that really said, let's ruin everything, twice. Let's kick it off with World War I. People were still riding horses into battle while holding guns that jammed like broken dishwashers. It was called a world war, but what it really meant was everyone hated each other and wanted to punch everyone else in the face. Soldiers lived in trenches, literal mud pits full of lice, rats, and mustard gas. And no, not the mustard you dip your pretzel in. This stuff melted your lungs like hot plastic in a microwave. After 4 years of that nightmare, people were like, okay, surely it can't get worse. The world, sweet summer child, just wait. Enter World War II, the sequel that nobody asked for but everyone got dragged into. It was bigger, meaner, and starring a mustached lunatic named Hitler. And this time, it wasn't just soldiers suffering. Civilians were getting bombed, gassed, experimented on, and turned into war statistics. And the grand finale? 2 nuclear bombs dropping on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, with the world collectively going, wait, what the hell are we doing? Oh, and don't think the chaos stopped between wars. Right in the middle, 1918 rolled up like, hey y'all, mind if I bring a virus to the party? Spanish flu, which had 0 to do with Spain, by the way, showed up and KO'd tens of millions of people. Masks? Yeah. Lockdowns? Definitely. Mental breakdowns? You bet. Basically, 2020 was just the remastered edition. And just to make sure everyone really suffered, the Great Depression hit in the 30s. Money became monopoly paper, jobs vanished, and soup lines were the new brunch. People lost their homes, their savings, and in some cases, yeah, they jumped out of windows when the stock market tanked like a rigged game of Jenga. If you were born in that era, you basically had to squeeze your life somewhere between chemical weapons, mass starvation, and the possibility of catching a deadly virus or getting nuked. So yeah, the 20th century was kind of like a never-ending episode of Black Mirror, but instead of one horrifying twist per season, you got a new one every decade, and no Instagram filters to make it look artsy. Section 1. Anything before modern dentistry equals bloody smile, pure pain. Alright folks, let's just pause for a sec and appreciate modern dentistry. Yeah, I'm talking about that moment when you're chilling in the dentist chair, soft music playing, dentist rolls up in their space suit and says, you might feel a little pressure. And you're like, that hurt a bit. Buddy, what you just experienced is luxury tooth pain. If you'd been alive any time before the 19th century, that same pain would have been a full-blown medieval torture session. Picture this. You wake up at 2 a.m. with a throbbing toothache, no numbing gel, no Novocaine, no friendly dentist with a TV on the ceiling. Your only option? The local blacksmith. Yeah, the dude who nails horseshoes. And guess what? He also pulls teeth on the side, using the same pliers he tightened a wagon bolt with yesterday. And oh boy, let me make this crystal clear. Tooth extraction back then meant sitting on a wooden chair while 2 guys held you down, and a third one yanked your tooth out while you screamed like a banshee having a meltdown. Anesthesia? Nada. Painkillers? Maybe a shot of whiskey, if you were lucky. Comforting words from grandma? Don't worry, sweetie, it'll be over quick. Spoiler, it wouldn't. If your tooth got infected, you wouldn't even notice at first. You were probably too distracted by your dozen other problems, like famine or plague. But when your face ballooned up like a cartoon, and you couldn't open your mouth? Yep, now it was serious. Best case scenario, you lost the tooth. Worst case? Infection hit your brain and, yeah, rip. Now there were some treatments, but they were, well, horrifying. One popular method? Shoving a hot metal needle deep into your gums to kill the root. Yup, a hot needle. Today, if your dentist drills a little too far, you're ready to sue. Back then, if they didn't kill you with their bare hands, that That was considered good service. And don't even get me started on braces. LOL. Braces? Bro, no one cared about straight teeth. If you made it to 40 with your 2 front teeth still intact, you were basically king of the smile. People called you Tooth Tycoon at family gatherings. And let's talk about breath. Mouthwash? Nah. Toothbrushes? Maybe a stick. Maybe. Most people rub their teeth with a rag or just hoped for the best. Basically, everyone's mouth was like a low-budget horror movie. Smiling at someone could be considered a threat. So yeah, next time you're at the dentist and you're like, ugh, this filling sucks. Just remember, people used to die from toothaches, with screaming, and blood, and smoke. Respect the Novocaine, my friend. Respect it.